You know, I oftentimes doubt whether I'm growing up and getting more mature or if I'm just kind of staying the same, but then I realize I get really excited when I purchase a new set of socks. Like, it's just something about it that feels so satisfying where it's like, damn, I am getting old. This is my Lexus CT200H. Fuck. This is my 2014 Lexus CT200H. And you're probably asking yourself,
Should I buy myself one of these or should I not?
and you know what? I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why you probably want this car and 5 reasons why you probably don't want this car. But first, let me give you a little history lesson. So this car was released in 2011 here in the United States, and the entire purpose of it was to be kind of Lexus's compact hybrid offering, which it did a pretty good job at that. But the thing was that tides were kind of shifting in the United States. People weren't really wanting to buy brand new compact cars anymore, and so the car literally only lasted here in the United States for like 6 years. It started in 2011, discontinued by 2017. Plus, at the same time when it came out, it was the cheapest Lexus that you can get from the dealership. This one here, now mine's a base model. It doesn't have all the fancy gadgets, gizmos, features. In fact, it has a lot of blank switches. Mine had a sticker price of about $32,000, which for a brand new luxury car, that's actually a pretty good deal. Simultaneously, they haven't really depreciated all that much, but they are now affordable. Like I said, mine's a base model. When I first bought it, it had about 78,000 miles on it. My price was about $15,000 and I bought it in 2023. So it's a pretty good deal. Or is it? But first I've got to wipe my ass. All right. Reason number one why you might want one of these vehicles is because underneath all this sexy ass black outside, which it's literally just a Generation 3 Prius, meaning you get all the reliability, you get all that good stuff, the durability, the 600,000 mile, like, you know, car type thing without having to drive a Prius. Now, the plus side of that is that this thing looks good. It's a Lexus. You can get some bitches with it. You know what I mean? I don't know what you mean. Sorry, I'm monogamous. I'm already taken. Babe, say something.
I want a sweet treat.
And that's why you like chocolate. Look at me.
Don't buy me a Snicker bar and some ice cream, damn it.
Okay. Anyway, so the downside of this thing being a Prius, though, is that it's slower and it has worse performance than a Prius, except for the steering. The steering in this thing is a lot better than a Prius. But the thing is a Prius of this era is going to get about 50 to 55 miles per gallon. This one's going to get about 45 to 50 miles per gallon. And this thing is actually slower. As a matter of fact, this thing has a 0 to 60 of like 12 seconds. It's not a speed demon. It is still fun to drive, though. Reason number two why you might want one of these vehicles is the very simple, nice, timeless interior. Now, you'll notice that mine doesn't have the navigation screen. Reason why is because the navigation screen was actually optional in these cars. And if you're looking to buy one of these, I honestly would highly suggest that you just don't get the navigation screen. Just don't get the screen, all right? You're not gonna get Android Auto with the screen. If you want Android Auto, there are a bunch of kits on Alibaba that you can get that are ranging in quality and ranging in dubiousness for about $200 to $300. It's a complicated thing. The cars already have Bluetooth, dog. Just get you a magnet, set it up right here, or set it up on the freaking like vents. Just don't worry about the screen. If I remember correctly, you can get these with the peanut butter color. Mine's more of the cream color. There's also the all black options. I believe there's also gray or white options. But as you see, it is actually quite gorgeous in here. Now, a reason as to why you might not want this car is that although the interior in this car is nice, that's when you're judging it by normal car standards. For like luxury car standards, because this thing is a Lexus, no. The insulation isn't that good, so whenever you're driving at highway speeds, it is rather loud, and you don't have a whole lot of like luxury features that a lot of other Lexuses might have. You don't have massaging seats. A lot of them don't even have like heated seats. Mine doesn't have heated seats. I got a lot of poverty switches. But you get the Lexus quality, you get the Lexus reliability, but you don't get a whole lot of Lexus. So another big positive to this car, this is number 3, is that it's actually pretty roomy on the inside. Now, this thing was sold as a compact, but look, I'm 6 foot flat and the seat is set into how I would drive. I'm perfectly comfortable here, and if I really wanted to, I can still make even more room in the car. This car does not have memory seats, so after I finish this, I am going to be doing so many different alterations to get back comfortable. When you lay down the 2 back seats, it's actually pretty roomy right here. Now look, It's not the roomiest thing in the world, but it is more than you would expect out of a compact. I'm 6 feet tall, and if I just happen to lay down like this, I mean, I could get a pretty decent like little nap in and such, but I can also fit a Costco run in here. And as a matter of fact, people camp in the back of this car. And due to the fact that it is a hybrid, you could actually do it and just leave the car on and have air conditioning. Matter of fact, there is a whole community dedicated to just freaking camping in Priuses. And like I said before, it's literally a third generation Prius under the hood. It just looks better and has a slightly smaller trunk. Now you do have a lot of room in the driver's compartment in the passenger seat, and you do have a pretty large trunk space, but due to the fact that this is a hybrid and the hybrid battery is literally right here, you compromise pretty heavy on this. Bam, 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 bam. The back seat in this car is honestly quite small. I mean, like if you had like a baby, like, you know, you put a car seat back here, maybe you could do it. But me, a 6 foot tall adult, like look at this, dog. The seat is currently set as to how I would drive it. And look, my knees are in my own back. My head is literally well, I got a little bit of headroom, but I'm like right up against the roof. If I'm doing a road trip for more than 10 minutes and I got to sit there and just my shit like that, I don't think it's going to be the most comfortable. So if you're trying to ferry around a bunch of adults or, you know, some sniveling kids, you're not going to get that. Hell, I'm honestly pretty sure that Lexus didn't really even consider the back seat, like, you know, occupants of this vehicle. There's no cup holders back here either. There's not even any door pockets. So like if you're trying to have some people around in the back seat, they're not going to be having the greatest time ever. I mean, like you got a little pocket right here that you can finger around in and such, but I can't put my drink right there unless I want it all over everywhere. So the back seats are a negative of this car. Now, the fourth reason as to why you probably want to buy one of these cars is its track record for reliability, and these things are definitely reliable. As I said, it's literally a Generation 3 Prius with a much better skin over it, which is great. But then we get into reason number 4 as to why you probably don't want to buy one of these cars, and that the same issues that happen to burden Generation 3 Prius also burden this car. What I mean by that is the head gasket. When the head gasket on this car fails, which if you get a model from 2011 up until 2013, it's extremely highly likely it happens sometime around 100,000 miles. But hey, some people get up to 300,000 miles and never have to replace anything on the car. But it is something that can happen. And Toyota did address that with the 2014 model like I have here, but it's not completely mitigated. So you will probably have to deal with head gasket issues. Now, I've seen people online saying that it costs them $200 to do it by themselves in the garage. Or I've seen people taking it to dealerships or even dedicated hybrid shops or even Lexus shops and such and paying upwards of $4,000 to $6,000. It is not cheap. You also have to deal with the hybrid battery itself that could potentially go out. And the cheapest place that I've seen to get that done is $1,800 via greenbean.com. Simultaneously, due to the fact that this thing is a hybrid and federal regulations say that you have to have a 12-volt battery in the car, this car does have a 12-volt battery, and it does seem to be a common point of failure. You know, you leave the car running, you leave the lights on and such, and then you have to replace the battery. Now listen, every car has that issue, but what makes it unique in this car is that the battery is right there. It's in the back right of the trunk. And to get to the battery, when the battery is actually dead on this car, you have to go through the rear door, you have to literally tear apart the trunk, and you have to fiddle around for the tiniest little hood latch to actually open it up. And then the battery that this car requires in case it goes out costs at minimum $200. Ask me how I know. Reason number 5 as to why you probably want to buy one of these cars is because it is something that you can kind of consider unique. They weren't very popular, they didn't really sell all that well, and then they have been discontinued in 2017, so there aren't a whole lot of these things in the United States. So when you pull up and somebody sees your car, they can actually be like, yo, that thing is cool, and then thus you have a conversation starter. Now, there aren't a lot of these things in the United States, but there is still quite a decent community for these cars. Subreddits, Facebook groups, and a still active forum. The downside to that, though, is that there's not a whole lot of aftermarket support for these cars. I mean, look, from the factory, this thing has 98 horsepower, and it's a Prius. Ain't nobody gonna be making this car any faster. Now, I have seen some really cool builds, some really cool lowered setups, some really cool setups for this car, but there isn't really a whole lot of aftermarket support for this car. Not saying that I haven't seen some that don't look good, though. Just saying that it's difficult to do. So now you're probably thinking, well, who should buy this car, or who is this car really made for? Do you not have kids? It's perfect. Do you happen to have to travel back and forth long distances every single day? It's perfect. Do you sustain yourself using like DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, or something like that? Maybe it could work, but you don't want to have a whole lot of passengers. Do you just not like doing maintenance on your car aside from oil changes, transmission flushes, and you just want to have something that you just don't have to think about? You don't have kids, you don't have to have a whole lot of space and such. It's perfect, but at the same time, you don't want to get a Prius. It's perfect. If you are looking to find a Prius, but all of them have been priced outside of your price range and they're all so hard to find you a CT200H. That's what this car is for. Now, let's get on the road and drive it a little bit.
Hey, this is Dufunkus, as I'm currently in post, like editing this up and such. So I made a big mistake right here. The mic that you see on my neck, it's perfectly fine, the noise reduction and everything. I put another mic on my floor mat so that way you can hear the engine and hear the, road noise and such. Yeah, the noise reduction on that mic was also on. And so instead of being able to hear me talking and hear the car, all you hear is just me yapping and the noise reduction going absolute sicko mode at taking away anything that's not my voice. So this whole section right here is pretty mute. Pretty much all that I was saying was this car does not sound like a luxury car, and it also does not feel like a luxury car because the suspension is much stiffer, and simultaneously it doesn't really have all that much noise deadening. But it's not bad, it's just more like a normal car, more akin to a Toyota Camry as opposed to a Lexus ES or anything like that. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. My first time doing this. If you like what I got going on here, be sure to drop a comment, like, subscribe, or whatever the hell else. Anyway, I'm on TikTok, Instagram. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.